The city was alive with the usual chaos of honking horns, restless traffic, and hurried footsteps on the sidewalks. In the middle of it all, Daniel Carter leaned back in the seat of his sleek black sedan. At 32, Daniel had built the life many dreamed of. A senior executive at a multinational firm dressed in a custom suit with polished shoes that gleamed under the sunlight, he carried himself with the quiet confidence of success. Yet, behind that calm face was a man who often wondered if his life had turned out exactly as it should. As his driver navigated through the busy streets, Daniel's eyes wandered to the view outside the tinted glass. It was his hometown. The same streets he had run along as a boy, the same rows of shops where he once spent coins on candy, the same cracked sidewalks where he had scraped his knees. 15 years had passed since he had left this place. Time had turned him into a different man, yet the memories lingered, tugging at his heart with a strange ache. He thought of her, Emily, his childhood friend, his partner in mischief, the one who knew every secret about him. They had been inseparable, bound by the kind of friendship only children could know. She had fire in her spirit, never afraid to speak her mind, never afraid to get her hands dirty. Daniel remembered countless afternoons in her father's garage where she would fiddle with rusty tools while he sat nearby pretending to help. She loved fixing things. Anything mechanical fascinated her. He remembered teasing her once, telling her she would grow up to be a mechanic. She had laughed, wiping grease from her face, and said, maybe I will. Someone's got to fix the things everyone else gives up on. But all that was long ago. His parents had moved to the city when he was just 15. He had promised Emily he would write, he would visit, that their bond would never fade. But life had a way of testing promises. Letters turned into excuses, excuses turned into silence, and eventually she became just a memory. Still, whenever Daniel allowed himself to wander into the past, it was her face he saw, bright eyes, wide smile, and the sound of her laughter echoing like music in his heart. Lost in thought, he was jolted back to reality when his car suddenly lurched. The engine coughed, sputtered, and then died in the middle of the road. Steam curled out from under the hood. The driver groaned, pulling the car to the side. I'm sorry, sir. It seems we've got a serious problem here. Daniel checked his watch. He had a meeting in less than an hour. Irritation flickered across his face, but then his eyes caught sight of a small garage just a block away. Its paint was faded, and the signboard read Harrison's Auto Repair. Take it there, Daniel said reluctantly. The car rolled into the garage. The place smelled of grease and iron. Tools clinked somewhere inside. As Daniel stepped out, adjusting his tie, he noticed a figure bent over another car. A woman in a faded jumpsuit, sleeves rolled up, hair tied back in a messy ponytail. She moved with precision, her hands strong and steady as she worked. Give me a minute, she said, not looking up. Something about her voice stirred something in him. It was firm, confident, but underneath it was warmth he couldn't quite place. When she finally straightened and turned to face him, the world seemed to stop. Her eyes met his, sharp but soft. All at once, and his, sharp but soft all at once. Oh my God. Her lips parted in surprise. For a moment, the wrench in her hand almost slipped. Daniel? She whispered, his breath caught in his throat. Emily? It felt unreal, as if time itself had bent to bring them face to face again. 15 years of silence dissolved in an instant. She was older now, her face marked by life's struggles, her hands rough from years of work, but she was still Emily. The same spark in her eyes, the same presence that had once been his anchor. They stared at each other, neither moving. Finally, she broke into a laugh, shaking her head. Of all the places in the world and of all the ways to meet again, you show up in my shop with a broken car. Life sure has a twisted sense of humor. Daniel smiled faintly, his voice soft. I can't believe it's really you. Emily tilted her head, studying him. Look at you. Expensive suit, fancy shoes. You look like someone who belongs in a boardroom, not in a greasy little shop like this. And you look exactly like I remember, he replied. She raised a brow. Covered in grease. He chuckled. Strong, determined. Like you could fix the whole world if you wanted to. Her smile faltered for a second, as though his words had touched something deeper. But she quickly pushed it aside and gestured toward his car. Let's see what's wrong with your ride. As Emily worked under the hood, Daniel stood nearby, watching her. The way she handled tools, the confidence in her movements, it was mesmerizing. But beyond that, it was the way she carried herself, proud and resilient, that struck him most. "You really became a mechanic," he said softly. She smirked without looking up. "And you really became what? Some kind of corporate hotshot?" Something like that," he admitted. Her laughter echoed in the small garage. "I'm not surprised. You always had those big plans." "Me? I just had to survive." For hours, they talked while she fixed the car. Emily told him about the years he missed, how her father had passed away when she was 17, leaving her to take care of her younger brother Lucas. College had been a dream she couldn't afford. Instead, she worked long days at garages, learning everything about engines until she could run the shop herself. Life wasn't easy, but she never gave up. Daniel listened quietly, guilt rising in his chest. He had been climbing ladders of success while she had been carrying the weight of responsibility. When the car was finally fixed, Daniel hesitated. He didn't want to leave, not now. He took a breath and said, "Emily, would you have dinner with me? I want to hear everything. Not just about the past, but about who you are now." She hesitated, studying him with cautious eyes. Life had taught her not to trust too easily, but something about the sincerity in his voice made her nod. "All right, but don't expect me to show up in some fancy dress. I'm not that girl anymore." Daniel smiled. "You'll always be Emily." That night, they sat across from each other in a small diner. It felt strange and familiar at the same time. They shared stories, laughter, and even long silences that spoke louder than words. Emily confessed how she once dreamed of being an engineer but gave it up for her brother's future. Daniel admitted how empty success felt when he had no one to share it with. At one point, Emily lowered her eyes and said, "When you left, I waited for your letters. At first, I checked the mailbox every day, but they never came. I thought you forgot me." Daniel's throat tightened. "I never forgot. Life swept me away, and I regret it every single day." Her eyes shimmered, but she smiled faintly. "Oh well, here we are. Maybe that's enough." Over the next few weeks, Daniel found reasons to visit her shop. Sometimes he claimed his car needed a checkup. Other times, he simply brought her coffee. He met Lucas, now in college thanks to Emily's sacrifices. Slowly, Daniel became part of their small world. He admired her strength, her resilience, the way she faced every challenge head-on. She admired him too, not for his wealth, but for his willingness to step into her world without judgment. One evening, as the shop lights flickered, Daniel finally spoke the words he had held back. "Emily, I don't want to lose another 15 years. I don't care about the grease or the boardrooms. I just want you in my life again." Emily's heart raced. She had built walls around herself for years, walls meant to protect her from disappointment. But Daniel's words chipped at those walls until they crumbled. She whispered, "Then don't leave this time." He took her hand, calloused and stained from years of work, but to him, it was the most beautiful hand in the world. From that moment, everything changed. Daniel began helping Emily expand her shop, investing in new equipment while she trained new apprentices. Together, they built something greater than either could alone. But more than that, they rebuilt what they had lost: trust, friendship, and love that had only grown stronger with time. It wasn't a dramatic twist or sudden fortune that changed their lives. It was something simpler, yet far more powerful. Two childhood friends, reunited by chance, choosing to walk forward together instead of apart. And as Daniel looked into Emily's eyes one evening with grease on her cheek and a smile on her lips, he realized the truth. Life had given him wealth, status, and success, but Emily gave him something none of that ever could: home.